Hello guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So now, just like the topic implies, a lot can happen within a year. I relocated from Lagos to UK, and then from UK I relocated to Canada. So a few of you, because I don't really have a lot of followers right on social media and even here on YouTube, so a few of you have reached out to me to ask me like, what was the processes I used in relocating, what steps did I take, how easy was it for me to relocate from A, B, C, how difficult it is. And I just felt like, okay, since I'm making videos that are relatable and based on my experience, because I'm too lazy to do any research, I decided to post out the video here of how I was able to relocate from Lagos to UK and then from UK to Canada. So when eventually I wanted to relocate, I tried so many routes. Back to the story, I tried so many routes to see if I would be able to relocate outside the country. I tried Canada Express entry, but as of the time, my scores were not good enough. I needed to write IELTS that I really don't like, because I feel like, why are you testing my English? I'm still speaking small now. Like, it's just too dramatic for me. So, and my scores were not really high. I didn't have enough work experience because I've been doing my fashion business for the longest of time in Lagos, and I really didn't know how to package my documents to be able to meet the criteria. So I knew express entry was not for me. Now, the next thing I knew was schooling. Schooling was going to be really expensive. I could not afford it as of the time. So my relocation plans have been in the pipeline for the longest of time. Now, for some people that just started following me in a couple of years back, who feel like, oh, this girl, her life has been very easy. She just jumped from Benue to Lagos, Lagos to UK, UK to Canada. It wasn't always like that. I've been working towards relocating, let me say, for the last 5 years before eventually I was able to leave, because at every year I'm like, okay, I need this. How was I able to do this? Express entry was not going to be an option for me, so I knew it was going to be school. Now, for school, how were we going to do it? I decided to go to Canada. Now, the thing is that I wanted UK, but we all know that UK schools are pretty expensive. Canada schools were less expensive. However, as of the time, I don't know about now, in UK visa was easier to get, Canada visa was not easy to get. So it was either this or that, right? UK schools are expensive. The visa was straightforward and pretty easy to get, right? Canada schools were less expensive. The visa application process was not really that straightforward, and it wasn't easy to get. But I needed to go with Canada. Now, two things made me go with Canada. Number one was the schooling, the fees. Number two was because as of the time, I already started dating my husband. So he was also working towards his express entry to Canada. So I was like, it makes more sense to channel my energy to Canada, where I know I want to start a future there, right? For UK, it was, my sister was in UK, but then you obviously go to where love they go, that kind of a thing. So I felt I was going to do Canada. I posted a video here of how I applied for Canada visa. I waited 4 months, because that was after post-COVID, so the process was really long. I waited 4 months, and then eventually they bounced me. I didn't get the visa. Their reason was that they don't think I will be able to return. They don't think I will return back to my home country after the completion of my studies. I don't blame them. I don't know the reason they took that decision. I don't blame them, but it is what it is. So immediately, luckily for me, when I was applying for schools in Canada, I also applied for schools in UK. Why did I do this? Canada school application, you'd have to pay application fee. I think I applied for like 3 or 4 schools in Canada. The application fee run between 90, 80 to 150-ish Canadian dollars. However, UK schools applications are free. You don't pay nothing for UK applications. So I just felt like there is no harm in trying. All of these things, I feel like God was just directing my path, right? I just feel like there was no harm in trying. So when I got admission, and for some reason, Leeds Becker University was the first university that gave me admission. However, I knew I wasn't going to go to UK, so I just ignored it. I didn't really answer it like that. I was like, everybody good, you're all right. So I channeled my energy to Canada. When Canada eventually bounced my visa, I decided to rush back and then pick up that admission that was given at Leeds Becker University. As of the time, I couldn't meet up September batch, and so I resumed the following year, January, right? So that was how I left Nigeria to UK. Now, while me and my husband relocated to UK, like I mentioned earlier, he was in the process of doing his express entry. Now, my husband was called to submit his document for express entry before we got married, right? So he submitted his document, he did everything. I was waiting for Canada to eventually tell him that, oh, we're done with your documentation. You can now drop your passport and it will get stamped for express entry, and then you're off to Canada. That didn't happen for a couple of years because of COVID and backlog and all of those things. So we decided to relocate to UK. He went on a work visa. I went on a student visa. We were married, but we were on separate visas because for some reasons he had his visa before we got married, and I started my application before I got married. So I was already feeling single. So even when he eventually got his visa, and I just felt like it doesn't make any sense to go and start updating and changing so many things. Eventually, because he had a longer time on his visa. I think he had 5 years on his visa. My student visa was just a year plus, I think a year and 18 months. So when I was done with school, instead of doing a post-study or all of those things, I would now come on his visa as a dependent, which we never really did that because we're now in Canada, so we don't need that visa anymore. So that was how I was able to relocate. So like I said, when we got into UK, I think like a month or 2 or 3 months when we got into UK, Canada now sent my husband a message, an email stating that his documentation process was over and he should come submit his passport for stamping for his Canada Express entry. At that point, he was married and no longer, okay, so my husband was not in Nigeria, but he wasn't in the UK, right? So he moved from where he was to UK. So what happened was that when Canada Express Entry sent him that email, they said his passport was ready for all of those things, but if there was any change in his status, whatever, and he should let them know. So he informed them that, yeah, he has moved from where he used to be to UK, and he's also now married. So Canada Express Entry, whatever it is, notified him that, okay, since now that he's married and he has also changed his address, then he'll need to update his address on the express entry pool. He'll need to do a police report to cover the new location that he is in, and they are going to pause on his application while they process mine because I am now married, so they'll have to add all of that to his visa. So this also involves when you have a child. So if you're already called or something and anything changes, like, oh, you now have maybe when I was pregnant and all of those things, so if you've already given birth to that child, you have to update that information because it is now changed. So we did that. So when Canada Express Entry told me that he should update my information on his profile, he went ahead to do that. So what happened was that because we wanted the thing to be like really fast, we went ahead and registered for my West so that my result to be evaluated. Unfortunately for us, when we registered for West, because at the time I had not finished my master's degree, so I needed to evaluate my BSc. Nigerian universities were on strike, so there was no way I was going to get my transcript across to the West organization to be able to evaluate my results. So that was already something that was pulling us back. Secondly, I needed to write IELTS general. Now, in as much as I said earlier that I don't like to write IELTS, I still had to write IELTS in Nigeria, because as of the time, there were a lot of schools in Canada that required you to have like an English to write an English exam for them to be able for you to prove your proficiency in English. So I needed to do IELTS. So I did IELTS educational when I was in Nigeria, so that I'll be able to apply for the schools and be able to get the school applications that I had. So when they told him to update my information, what we needed to do was we registered for West so that my results would be evaluated, which we were not able to do that because Nigerian universities were on strike. Secondly, I needed to write IELTS general because that's what you use for Canada Express Entry. Academics is when you want to do, I think doctors and the rest to do academics and then schooling things, yeah. But when it's express entry, it's usually general. So I did IELTS in UK again. Yeah, I passed both of them. Well, while I was doing the IELTS, I wasn't really compelled to have like very high scores because my husband was already like the primary applicant and he already had that, right? So it's just for me to have my scores. But even at that, I still did really well in the exam. I was just scared for nothing. It's still good. And all of these exams, ironically, my speaking is always the highest. In as much as I feel like I don't know how to speak English and all of those things, my speaking is usually the highest, and it's very, very confusing. So what happened was that we did that, and then I did medicals. I went to Manchester to do my medicals, and then we're waiting for them to give us the next step. So what happens was after a while, they sent us an information that we should update my medicals and also my police report. So we're able to do that. Funny enough, they didn't ask for my West, they didn't ask me for IELTS here. So what that means is that if you have a partner, or if you're someone that is planning to get married and you're already in the express entry pool, and then they call you to come submit your documents, if you've submitted your document before you get married, then your partner coming on board doesn't need to do all of those things like write IELTS, calculate your scores. No, because my husband had already gotten to the last stage of the express entry and had already submitted his documents before he got married to me. I was just added onto his ticket, you know, one ticket obodo ibo, free ticket to Canada. That is how I call it, free ticket to Canada, because I was just added on the list. I didn't do anything. Even the IELTS I wrote, no one asked me for it. The words that were registered for, no one asked me for it. So eventually, when I was done my master's degree in UK, I used that one because West now evaluates your latest degree. So I used my master's to evaluate in West. But the IELTS I wrote, I didn't use it for anything. I don't know if I'll need it in the future because it's just 2 years, and 2 years will obviously be over soon. So I don't know what I'm going to use it for. So they asked for my medicals. My medicals came through, we submitted, and eventually, I think towards the end of that, I'm not so sure the timing, let me be very honest. We're now eventually, but I think all of this thing happened in a space of a couple of months, or basically a year. I would say a year. So we're now asked to come and drop our passports, and then we dropped our passports. It took a couple of months before the passports were returned. My husband's one came back after like 2 months or so. Mine came back after like 3 months because we had issues with the postal thing. Now, another thing to get from this is that if you're applying for Express N3 and they've called you to go drop your passport and you're supposed to pay for courier services, they ask you, I don't know if we were the ones that got it wrong, but there's something that they'll say family package. So you are paying for one courier service because they are sending all the passports and all the envelopes in one package. And so my husband paid for just his, thinking it was the family package, and that was why my passport just got missing somewhere along the line, because it wasn't sent, it was just there at VFS, is that the right word, abbreviation, I can't remember, office. And then when we eventually called and they said it was because my husband paid for just one courier service. We thought because we're a family it's supposed to come together, but apparently it's not supposed to come together. They'll still do separate. So it's, at the end of the day, if you have 5 people, you have to pay for 5 courier services. You won't pay for as a family. I don't know if this information is 100% correct, but that was what we went through. So I don't know if there was something we did wrong that made it do that, or there was something we're supposed to do that we didn't do. I don't know that, right? So anyways, that was how our Canada PR came, and then we're given 6 months and just one entry into Canada. So that is called, like, I think they call it soft landing or something. So we got into Canada. We did our registrations in Canada as of the time I was even pregnant. So I got in, I did my registrations, I did my health registrations, I have bank accounts and all of those things. And then we went back to UK to round up. I rounded up my schooling, I did all of those things, and then we came back to Canada finally. And then when I came back to Canada finally, I had my child. I'm going to do another video on all the things I went through, the registration processes, how I was able to give birth in Canada, what you need as a permanent resident, because I don't know what you need as someone that is not a permanent resident, because I'm not under that category, what you need as a permanent resident, and all those tiny detailed informations. I'm going to do a video on that. But basically, that was how I was able to move from Lagos to UK. I went to UK to school, and then from schooling in UK, I moved to Canada as a permanent resident. Now, the only reason why it was that easy for me and that fast was because my husband already started that process, and he was called to go and submit his document before we got married. So when we got married and they sent him an email saying your process has been completed, you need to get your passport across to us to stamp it with your visa. He told them he was married, and so they asked him to update my information, create a profile for me, and then they added me on the list. So I didn't really have to go through all of that stress. So that was how I was able to move through these 3 countries within the shortest of time. Nothing serious, that was just what I did. I don't have any magic or nothing, but I'm in Canada presently as an express entry. Sorry, as a permanent resident. See me, I said as an express entry. I'm in Canada presently as a permanent resident. So basically, that is my story. That was how I was able to switch 3 countries within a short period of time. So thank you guys for watching this video. I really hope this video is insightful and informative enough for someone out there that really needs it. I'll be posting more content like this. let me know if you need more information about the express entry or the visa route to UK. Right now, UK is a bit tough, Sha. UK is very tough. Then everybody never know where they go, Sha. But then there are still other routes outside the COS routes and all of that you can go through UK. If you want to hear any, I'm not in UK now, but if you want to get information, I can put 1 or 2 videos out here, but I would just need to hear your opinions if you want me to put a video in regards to all of that, or videos in regards to documents that my husband used for express entry. I know those information, although I didn't use it myself, but I know those information because I'm married to him, so I know the documents that he submitted and all. So in case you need any information about that, since this video is already long, we can just make it 30 minutes, right? Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to be posting a lot of videos back to back. Hopefully one day someone out there will be inspired by my videos and will watch them. Hopefully one day I'll have a video that suits the YouTube algorithms, and then I will have my own viral video as well. But for now, let's stick to what we have right now. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. Thank you for watching my videos. Shout out to my friend Anne. She's always watching my videos. She's always commenting on my videos. I love you so much. Thank you. I love you, baby girl. Thank you guys for watching my videos. Thank you guys for always commenting, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye.